Okay, hello. Could death be a reminder that we should have been brave in every moment? In this episode, I wanted to speak about something that a few years ago it wouldn't have been easy for me to speak about. And after some point you just forget whether this reality is easy or hard, because it just goes forth and it shows you how it changes. This world seems to be designed for us to input something and for it to show us what we were made of. Similar to a sword in a battlefield. For how long can the sword be used? And at what point will it get dull and break? I wanted to title this episode, "My Emotions Are Destroying Me." My emotions are trying to destroy me. But I thought of proposing it, transposing the idea as a question. And so why have I written Surpassing Self-Hatred? Because there will be many people who I wish for their blessed endurance, who will speak about self-love. And that's why I want to speak about self-hatred. And there's this very profound saying, I don't know where I heard it from. I think it was a video online. But it's this African story of, saying, where it's like, if everybody threw their problems in a great fire, everybody would run back to take back their own problems, because this world is so vast and so many different types of experiential modes of existence are happening, I don't want to give the impression that I am speaking out of ungratefulness. I am speaking out of misery. I am not. I just want to share my insights and how, for the future generations, for all those human beings that will live here, there are states where the mind can appear to have gone against itself. And you know, sometimes in life you are left in a position where you cannot extract value or meaning out of your moment. And just like when you reach a dead end, what do? You either turn back or you look for some other way through some other dimension. What that means is if you were walking in a street, you know, and you saw like a wall, like you would climb that wall. Horizontally, dead end. Vertically, maybe not. And you know, I don't consider myself as a teacher, and I don't consider people as students. I think that whole thing is an act. I think in reality, we're all unknown explorers in an unknown world, and we just share our findings. Whether we share it gracefully or not, what we have seen will come to fruition. So, let's get into it. There's nothing to hold back, really. Has there ever been anything to hold back here? The human mind experiences different states, and some of these states it resists. This resistance can be projected on, let's say, 3 avenues of, let's say there's an emotion comes. And so this emotion can be directed in interpretation in 3 ways. An individual, or let me say it this way, or let me just say it simple. Let's go with a happy example and then I'll share the doll. Right now, if I ask myself, what can I love in this world? What can I care for? If we interpret love as care. And when you love something, what's the point? You want it to remain being. You know, love is like an eternal action. Sorry, it's an eternal view. You know, why is there, you know, whoever, like, you know, I thought like, man, you know, I'm lacking in the romance department. I should go and like look up some, you know, stories of lovers in history. And then I went and I looked at the greatest love stories in histories, and you know, and you know what I came to? I came to this realization a lot of them were tragedies. And so it's as if we're in this place that if you treat it as eternal, that means if we have an eternal expectation on a temporary room, what happens? We get to see the temporary, right? Somebody's asking for the song name. Hold on, I'm typing it. People are like, hey man, you know, get to it. You know, explain how you ate yourself. To continue, because what else can we do here? The idea, the feeling I have, what I'm trying to explain is that a human being gets an emotion. Okay, the emotion can be of love, can be of hate, can be of whatever. This emotion can be directed to oneself, it can be directed to others, it can be directed to the world. And there are consequences to these. That means if you direct your hatred to yourself, the consequences are less. You direct your hatred to others, the consequences become more. You direct your hatred to the world. And what hatred does is it contaminates. It contaminates your nature. You know, an example, let's say, how can somebody love themselves or love themselves? Let's say you do something for yourself. Let's say you're like a young kid, okay, and you just get a feeling to like not do something. Years go by, and you see if you had done that thing, what you could have been. And so that becomes a moment where you suddenly love yourself, you know, as if the wisdom of your past self, you know, had enough foresight for now. Are my emotions trying to destroy me? Anytime something in this life makes me distrusted, a part of me starts to hate the moment. Why? I don't know. I mean, I have a theory on why I think it's like that. Because when we can't be what we are, we feel we are missing out on what we're being. Okay? But let me see how else I could say it. I pretty much had, I mean, maybe I've had, you know, not a too happy day. But you know, if a person doesn't have a value they can live for, they feel hollow. And when they live for that value, they have an expectation, you know, more than we're just this entity in a world, right? It's like a complex process when you move, animate as a being. I think because of the temporary nature of reality, our bodies could be giving us a wrong impression of how we are to be here. You know, I've thought about this for some time. In the lectures, in these lectures I give, I talked about it, that in the future, that, you know, I thought that what if humanity is a phase? But you know, I'm realizing that even now, you know, It's like there's this one attitude in one dimension. You're going through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but it could also be this thing that this experience of going through different phases is just in one dimension, right? Anybody who's created music, I don't know, like I dabbled with FL Studio once. You see, there's different layers where you can put sound. And so it's as if something can be multi-layered, yet to the viewer appear as just one giant thing, you know, one symphony, but various little small things are being done. And you know, I thought to myself, you know, if I keep seeking a truth that makes sense, what will happen if that truth is in a changing world, right? What if truth is a verb? Like, what do we do then, all those people looking for it? It's like, no way, truth wasn't something like treasure we could find. Truth was how it was all happening. It is the case that due to us being such a small such a small part of this world, we have this illusion of choice. But ultimately, an unknown being is moving in a known way for a little while. And it's going to come back to the unknown. And when we come to the unknown, you suddenly realize, I think this is what may happen for many people, where they will suddenly realize how ignorance was bliss. There's an ignorance that our emotions, think of it this way, as if like, I don't know what a good example of it would be. What I'm trying to say is that the human being goes through various experiences. And it has different emotions. It can direct, again, the emotions to the self, to others, to the world. The situation is also mysterious, where at some point you will feel like an unknown being in an unknown world. And this is a sort of round circle. It could be this idea that there is an unknown self living a known life, and there is a known self living an unknown life. And they go round circle, you know. If we have this view that, you know, just like we have two hands, two eyes, this might sound very bizarre, but just like the yin-yang symbol, it could be that the soul is harboring two minds in two dimensions, in a sort of a coin. So what it means is that your unknown self is going through known experiences, and then like a round circle coming back to being. And you know what it is? The context, as if you are a being through the context, you are unknown. And if you are conceived, conceptually, you're known. So what it is rather than it's one individual who doesn't know or everything is unknown, it's like I'm saying, okay, just like two eyes that see the same moment can never be satisfied by one corner of reality. So imagine, this might sound a bit strange, but I'm just looking at it through the geometry, and it's honestly, it's a mathematical outline. I'm saying, okay, you know, I'm looking at the geometry of the yin-yang symbol. I'm saying, okay, there is good and evil intertwined within it, but it's all within one being, right? So when I think about what is the only being that can, in some sense, truly observe good and evil, it is the world, or the totality, that which has an awareness of the whole thing. Right now, our awareness is of the small, right? For example, you know, as a human being on this earth, I'll use myself as an example. I think the greatest thing we can do here is build an advanced civilization. But that's just this self. And when I think of what if I was an unknown self in an unknown world, I didn't have a body, I didn't have a mind. Or let me say I had an unknown body, I had an unknown mind, I had an unknown soul. Only reality's meaning would be to know it. And all the people, all the people on this planet who want to know truth, that's the proof that you are an unknown being. Because you're going towards the knowing. But when you go towards the unknown, it's different. We're sandwiched between dimensions. You know what it is? It's just like, imagine this white and black dragon coiling around each other vertically, going towards the sky where the moon is, right at night, flying above a village in, I don't know, ancient China. You know, it's like a known being and an unknown being have been put in one sphere. And so one of them is trying to, in some sense, make the reality the truth of its nature. Everything is unknown. You know, and imagine the other being saying, oh, everything is known. And it's the great battle. You know, it's as if, what are the problems of a world? And imagine if the world, like I might be an individual being like, yo man, you know, I hate myself today. But imagine if the species hated itself, if the world hated itself, if there was an openness to self-destruction. This is the luxury of the ignorance of temporary creatures on the rock. You see, when I this is my impression, when the project becomes bigger, a greater force is required to take it forth. And why does Lao Tzu say in the Tao Te Ching, after the leader's task is done, the people will say we did it ourselves? Because any being doing anything other than nothing, it's because they have seen something, you know? Something, you know, I mean, in this whole life, I would say I have felt myself go towards, calling things, calling God, calling various things